Welcome back to Our Issues Birmingham. I have Will Lochamy with me today. SEC Network and Birmingham Mountain Radio has loaned him to us for this moment in time. And since SEC Network is one of your occupations,
Yep.
So it's November in Alabama.
Right.
Everybody's at a fevered pitch. Auburn has been struggling. Not sure where they're going to be when this airs. Alabama's just recently kicked somebody's butt.
Right. They have. That's not a new thing for Alabama. No. And it's also not a new thing for Auburn to do this.
Yeah. And Coach Saban has told the media to lighten up.
Also not a new thing. The way Coach Saban talks to the media, it's one of the most baffling things to me. I really like him.
Why is that?
Well, I don't know, because it's a grown man talking to other grown men that way. Like, I like him a lot, and the one thing you hear about Coach Saban so much
is he short?
Is that? But you're gonna get yourself in trouble here.
I'm short too.
How great he is with the players, right? How much he cares about his players and how much they respect him. But then I do think he has things that just I can't wrap my head around, like the way he talks to the media. And I know
you think it's condescending?
Is it condescending?
Well, I mean, is that the word?
Yeah,
the way he talks to the media, how does, I don't watch.
Yeah, it's
often.
condescending, but it's almost like bullying.
Oh.
I mean, because what he's doing is he uses the media to send a message to his players, which works very well. But again, I mean, I guess maybe the media's gotten used to it at this point, but people tiptoe around Coach Saban so much. It's an interesting thing for me.
Yeah, you don't see that with other coaches around?
No, I don't.
SEC particularly?
No, I don't. Most coaches are pretty accessible, and Saban's just on a whole different plane. It's just a different thing. And it clearly works. I mean, Alabama is really, really good for a reason.
Yeah. And speaking of Alabama, and I'm not talking about the University of Alabama, I'm talking about the state of Alabama.
Right.
Football consumes many people's lives during this time frame.
And not just during this time frame, year round.
Yeah, and then there's this period of darkness that befalls the state in February and lasts maybe a month.
If we're lucky.
Until spring training.
If we're lucky.
What is it like that everywhere? I think we're different. I do.
We're definitely different. The Southeastern Conference is like that, but nothing like the state of Alabama. And that's why Paul Feinbaum's show, when he was local, and then he went national, people said, well, this isn't going to work, because he talks about Alabama and Auburn for the most part. Oh, it worked, because even the rest of the country and the rest of the SEC still can kind of focus on this ridiculousness in Alabama. And the SEC Network's a great example of how much people care. You know, it's the most successful launch of a TV network in television history.
Really?
$5 billion in the first year. I mean, that's an insane number. And how many, 100 million homes that it's in. But so much of it still, even being that national and international, still focuses on the state of Alabama, which is wild.
And it attracts.
It attracts people. People call in from California and from everywhere.
But are they talking about Alabama football?
They absolutely are. Yeah. Now, all the other SEC schools get their time and people get talked about. But boy, it really focuses on Alabama and Auburn. And when we started working there, we were told, like, spread it out, talk about everybody. So we try best we can.
And when does that come on?
So you can find my brother and I, we do like satirical commentary basically, but on Paul Feinbaum's show on the TV side. So we're on the TV side of his show 3 or 4 times a week, and then we do feature pieces for SEC Nation, which is Tim Tebow, Paul Feinbaum, that group.
What's Tebow up to?
Doing that.
Yeah?
Yeah, doing that.
Why does no one want him?
I guess he can't throw a ball that well.
Is that the bottom line?
I think that's the bottom line.
He's not too short either?
It just shows how good NFL quarterbacks are. Because I think Tim's actually a good quarterback, but he doesn't have the throwing technique that it takes to make it in the NFL, which is crazy because obviously he was one of the most successful college quarterbacks of all time.
Wow.
So, interesting team. But I know the SEC Network and ESPN is really glad to have him back.
So SEC Network is affiliated and a part of ESPN.
It is ESPN. When you see us on Paul's show, it's a blue background like this, and it says ESPN SEC Network.
Ah.
So it is one of theirs.
Do other conferences have
The
A network?
The Big Ten has a network, and I'm
Uh-huh.
not sure if anyone's ever seen it. But
Do they have a
network.
Fall Feinbaum-esque personality?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't think so. I mean, not that I know that there's one personality driving that network. But again, to be honest, we don't have it here, so I've never seen it.
Yeah.
But the SEC network is like nothing anyone's ever seen, and it's making the other networks very upset.
And when you say that, you CBS and NBC.
No, sorry, the other conferences.
Ah.
The other conferences.
Okay.
They already didn't like the SEC, and now the fact that they
because-
have this, network that's taking over the country.
Well, I mean, how many teams do we have currently in the
14.
top 10?
Oh, sorry, in the top 10. Yeah, 14. No, I'm just kidding. At this moment, I have to see. I think it's 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Florida's at number 11. So
Well, that's
who
pretty.
knows where they'll be when this
That's
airs.
pretty fascinating and unusual in and of itself that one conference would dominate
Yeah.
as it has, and even on the national championship level, with the exception of last year.
Right. 7 out of the last 8. Yeah, I mean, especially with a conference that seems to cannibalize itself so much.
What do you mean by that?
Well, let's just think the top half of the conference is so good that you're going to end up beating each other by the end of the year. I mean, it's amazing if anybody gets out. I mean, Alabama, for the most part, when they win national championships,
Have
don't win
lost-
undefeated.
Yeah, that's true.
And in fact, once lost twice.
And that was kind of what Nabin.
Nabin.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, you're going to be in
Nabin.
trouble with this guy.
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
Nick. That's a combination of Nick and
It is.
Saban would be Nabin.
Right.
That's what Saban has been saying
Right.
about burying his team after a loss
Sure.
to Ole Miss.
Anyone that got upset when Alabama lost to Ole Miss. Now, again, when this airs, who knows what will happen. But when they lost to Ole Miss, that's ridiculous. You obviously have not been paying attention because that meant nothing, really, at that point.
Well,
if anything, it meant motivation.
It meant staying up late and getting home late for me. I know that.
Right. Oh, that's true.
This is Our Issues Birmingham. We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back with Will Lochamy. Don't go away.